Boa tarde, é um prazer muito grande estar aqui hoje com vocês. Hoje eu trouxe dois convidados muito especiais aí para conversar um pouquinho sobre o mercado de trabalho aqui em Calgary. E nós vamos começar hoje essa live trazendo o Nicholas Newnes. Is that correct, Nicholas?
Yes? Newnes, but it does come from Newnes, which is Portuguese too. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So he's a talent specialist, client excellence from Calgary, economic development. So it's a government unit in Calgary responsible for this developing talents, right? So Nicholas is going to talk a little bit about the prospect in the tech sector, how the job market is in Calgary. So I will leave the presentation for him, and he will explain for you guys more information about that. Thank you so much for your time. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you so much, Fernanda. I'm just sharing my screen here. Can one of you just give me a thumbs up if you can see that? Perfect, thank you. Yeah, so good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm gonna be doing a very just high-level presentation on Calgary, some of our key sectors, and just talk a little bit about some aspects of our lifestyle here too. So just to begin, I wanted to share the vision we have for Calgary here. We see Calgary as the city of choice for smart people like yourselves attending today to embrace technology and create solutions for some of the world's greatest challenges. These include things like cleaner energy, safer and secure food, the improved movement of goods and people, and especially over the past year, we're looking for better health solutions. So these are some of the key sectors here in Calgary that we've identified as right to win sectors. So that means we have the people here, the knowledge, the resources to be world leaders in these sectors. So just to give some examples, in agriculture, we have a long history here of innovation and now also adding technology to make it not just more efficient, but also more sustainable. Energy and environment. We've had a really strong industry for many years here, led by the oil and gas sector, but now also diversifying into all forms of energy. So geobiothermal, wind, solar, hydro, and also with the efforts companies here are making, we actually rank in the top 15 of the world's clean tech ecosystems. Transportation and logistics, where our physical location itself here in Calgary and the expertise we have in supply chain have made us Western Canada's distribution hub. Aerospace and defense, and that's from drones to GPS to aircraft and research. Our city has a living labs designation that also makes it easier for companies here to do real-world testing. It makes our city a very business-friendly place for this industry and also very exciting for people working in it. Financial services, it's seeing a lot of growth, especially in the fintech or financial technology sector here over the last few years with a number of major acquisitions, investments, and disruptions across all things like payment technology, blockchain, banking, etc. And finally on here, we also have interactive digital media or creative industries. And these are, your AR, VR, MR, all kinds of different mixed realities from gaming all the way to film and TV. And this is a sector that's really booming and really exciting in Calgary right now. We've done some big major Hollywood productions, Netflix shows. Right now we're in the middle of hosting HBO, who's shooting a film called The Last of Us, and Pedro Pascal's here in town, so that's always exciting. And here we commissioned a study that found across Alberta, the province of Alberta, we will be spending $20 billion by 2024 on digital transformation. And this is important because if you can watch kind of where the money is going, this will help inform you as to where opportunities are going to come up. And you can see this goes across all sector and looks, kind of different across the industries, but it's important to remember that when you are thinking about technology, it's not just companies like Facebook and Apple and Google, but it also overlays a lot of the really strong traditional industries that we have here in the province. Another great indicator of our growth as an economy is venture capital funding and investments. In this study, we saw, over 3,000 companies in the province were able to see record-breaking investment, even through the crazy year we had last year and all the uncertainty. And from 2019 to 2020, there were 51 deals made, which was about 100% increase in investments. Here are some of those examples on the screen here. One of my favorite is Adabotics. They're one of the cool robotics companies here in Calgary that made a better fulfillment system. So for companies that usually, you order something online and they send it to you, well, they have robots that do a lot of that. So they have a system that, kind of works both left and right and up and down. So it's not so much people having to physically go and pick up items and send it to you. They can do it with robots now. Most recently as well, and they're not even on this slide yet, but Neo Financial recently raised a $64 million Canadian Series B round, which is very exciting for that space. That's a company that went from like 50 people a year ago to now they're over 3, 4, maybe even 500 now. But you can see how investments here aren't concentrated in just one industry, but they're spread across different areas. And the reason why Calgary is so successful at growing is because we really work together closely and very collaboratively. So all levels of government, venture capital, accelerators, incubators, and industry companies all come together to raise the profile of innovation here in Calgary. In 2021, we had about 120,000 people or so working in some form of tech. And you can kind of see the breakdown there. But growth in technology is outpacing the rest of the economy 6-1. So again, lots of opportunities coming up right now and coming down in the future. Might be a little hard to see this slide depending on your screens there, but it's a snapshot of some of the technology-focused companies here in Calgary. So contrary to that previous slide that was tech occupations as a whole, these are tech companies that we're going to see growing about 4 times over in the next 10 years. And here are some of the salaries you could expect to make on average in these sectors. So some of the roles are on the side there. All of it is in Canadian dollars. And these numbers are just base salaries. So most companies here will also offer you health benefits, retirement plan contributions. Some even offer shares in the company so that you can share in the successes together. So that's always a strong perk, maybe making less base salary now for a potential huge payout in the future. Here is where Calgary is located on the map. You can see we're kind of in the western part of Canada with the provinces of British Columbia to our left and Saskatchewan to our right. This is a great location that is very well serviced by our international airport that has flights out to 140 destinations. That includes 85 or more direct routes into Asia, Europe, and the Americas. So really important for business in a more normal world, of course, but this also makes us a really strong business hub. We're also referred to as Western Canada's distribution hub because when you add in that ground transportation, we get access to 11 million plus customers in a typical trucking day. And the other thing we are called is a headquarter center. Now we are called this because we have the highest concentration of head offices in Canada per capita. So that means a lot of decisions are made here and there's lots of opportunity for you to also be a part of that. Also, if you're doing your own business or needing to access those decision makers, it's very easy to do that here in Calgary. And of course, we have a great quality of life. You can see in this picture here, the beautiful Rocky Mountains that you can get to in under an hour of driving. And it's a great place to go just for a weekend or even an afternoon getaway. And for 10 years, we were ranked the #1 city to live in all of North America. And if that's not impressive enough for you, we were also ranked within the top 5 in the entire world. And this ranking comes from, high scores in things like safety, healthcare, climate. So like if you think about where you want to live, these are incredibly important factors to consider. And then especially to balance things like the purchasing power, affordability, safety, with the kind of quality of life you can have here, it's really hard to consider looking at any other city. You might have also heard we have low taxes here, but exactly how low? It's actually the 4th lowest out of 100+ global cities. And for businesses, there's no payroll taxes or healthcare premiums. And we also have the lowest corporate income tax rate in Canada. So really very business friendly for businesses setting up here, or even if you want to come over and start a business one day. And a very important thing that we're super proud of is that we are very diverse here. It's proven time and time again that diversity brings vibrancy and unique ways of thinking, both culturally and professionally. So we are really proud to have over 240+ different ethnic origins in the city. And you'll be able to hear over 120 different languages spoken on our streets. So that was my really quick overview. Hopefully it wasn't too little or too much. I'm happy to kind of chat further on this. But if what I was saying really resonated with you, I have a resource here for you to kind of get plugged in and learn a bit more. So we created this website called livetechlovelife.com. Feel free to write it down. You can go check it out now or later. If you scroll down a bit, we have a link that says view jobs in tech or check out jobs in tech. There's about 80+ different companies listed on there right now. They're all based in or operating out of Calgary, and they're all looking to hire. And there's also info on that website about upcoming virtual career fairs that you can attend. There's blog posts from companies you can read, just a good amount of information to learn about the tech ecosystem here in Calgary. There's also an Instagram account that you can follow at Live Tech Love Life. And that has our local tech companies doing takeovers every single week. So you can follow along, check out their culture, see what cool, innovative things they're working on. So once again, it's on the screen here at livetechlovelife.com. And this is kind of part of a wider marketing campaign that we're doing to showcase to people everywhere that Calgary is truly a place where you can do industry disrupting work while enjoying an unparalleled quality of life. So thank you so much for your opportunity and attention. I look forward to the rest of the discussion here today.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. Was excellent. And now we have Carol. She is a director from ILAC. She's responsible for Pathway and Partnership. And also before she worked with new immigrants and helped with this part regarding job or a new start in Canada, right, Carol? And she will talk a little bit more about how education can be a key factor when you're looking for a job. And also, the word is with you. So thank you so much, Carol, for your time.
Thanks, Fair. I will start with 2 key points. Everybody wants to know, why does Canada need more immigrants? Why does Canada want more people? Why are there so many jobs? So the answers to those popular questions are, number one, most importantly, we have a large generation of people, baby boomers who were born in the 1950s, and they're retiring now. So they're leaving the workforce, they're leaving the labor market, and we don't have enough people to replace this retiring generation because Canadians have children, start their families much later than they did 20 or 30 years ago. So we don't have the population to replace people. Also, why is it so important to have more people? One of Canada's greatest envies is our social system, right? The quality of education, the free healthcare, great infrastructure and services, and that comes from our taxes. So we need more people working. We need more people creating businesses and creating more jobs. And new immigrants tend to be younger, and they will come with that enthusiasm and motivation to open businesses, to bring their talent. Another key reason is small cities are growing, right? This is a young country. So we have our big cities like Calgary and Vancouver and Montreal and Toronto, but you can also go 30 minutes, 1 hour away from these big cities, and new communities are growing. And when that happens, there you have new hospitals, new infrastructure, new construction, so, and all the jobs that come with that. And then finally, what Nicholas was talking about, the new technology. So there's so many new jobs with the growth in technology. I mean, it's going everywhere in the world. It's going through this rapid change with automation and advancements. So those are the reasons. And then, so how does studying in Canada help you? In Canada, upgrading your education, continuing your education is common for everybody. So we're always upskilling, retraining to stay relevant, to stay up to date. So this is a great way for newcomers to enter the labor market. And also because for most of you, the path to getting your work permit is going to be through college. So it's important to know that it's a great investment. It's a great use of your time because the Canadian companies are looking for people who are really updated in their knowledge. Technology is constantly changing. And the colleges in Canada, they really collaborate with industry and with the businesses to fill the needs in the labor market, to respond to the needs, and to prepare people to be able to jump into a job so that the companies don't need to train people. They only need to bring you on board, introduce you to the company culture, your team, and then you really jump into working because the college programs are really practical. It's an applied form of learning. The course content is always updated to be current with the real world. And the companies know that people are well prepared. I just realized I didn't share my screen, so I'm reading this and nobody else can see it.
That's okay. Carol?
Yeah, but I'll save the rest of my information for the Q&A because I think it will be relevant then.
Okay, so
it's done.
Yeah, okay. Oh, okay, now she can share.
So I guess my last advice is people will always ask, what should I study? I'm an accountant in Brazil. I'm a lawyer. I'm a computer programmer. What should I do? It's very personal. You can have 5 mechanical engineers and we'll recommend 5 different paths or programs for each person. It depends on your age, your work experience, where you want to go in your next steps. Do you want to continue in the technical side? Do you want to add something from the sales or administration side? So I always tell people, try to be unique. Don't repeat what you already did. If you have a bachelor degree in civil engineering, maybe don't do a master degree in civil engineering. Do something in construction management. Do something in project management. Something that will really complement and stand out on your LinkedIn and on your CV when employers or headhunters or recruiters are looking through your LinkedIn, or when AI is looking through your LinkedIn. So try to do something that's new and fresh and really with the current times. So that's it for me.
Excellent. One thing that usually the students ask, Carol, it's about the college itself. Some students, they are like mature students, they have been working for a long time, and they usually say, well, college is not only for teenagers. It's college, it's something that will add something for my career. And what do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. College is a great place for networking. You could meet your future employer. You could meet a classmate who could become a colleague who introduces you to a job opportunity. And the schools organize job fairs. It really is industry preparation. They're preparing you to enter the labor force ready. I know, I'm sure Nicholas could give examples in Calgary of things like this. In Toronto, I see it all the time. In the Toronto colleges, there's a strong collaboration because the companies trust the colleges. They know that people are coming out really prepared, and because a lot of industry leaders are giving the classes, right? They're teaching the content. They know what you're learning because they're creating the content.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Well, we have some questions here. I think we can start, but before going for the questions, I just want to remind everybody who is watching that, of course, in order to work in Canada, you need a work permit. You need to be authorized to work in Canada. So you have to make sure you are aware of all the laws before, of course, starting like any type of work in Canada, just to understand, because we are talking to many people here in any part of the world. So just to remind you guys, I know not you guys, but the guys who are watching us. And let's go for the questions. In Calgary, would you mind to talk about a little bit more about the tourism sector, Nicholas? Many people are interested to do hospitality or something like that. How do you see this sector, please?
Yeah, for sure. So tourism here in Calgary is very interesting because, kind of I showed that map of where we are in Canada, kind of that Western Canada side of things. I mentioned in the presentation that we have the Rocky Mountains only about an hour away. So a lot of people come to Calgary for the city, but also for the surrounding. It's also why we get a lot of film and TV people coming to shoot and film here. It's because Calgary is an international city of 1.5, 1.6 million people. So it's definitely has all the amenities you need, but then surrounding Calgary, there's all this natural beauty as well. So a lot of people come for hiking, for fishing, snowboarding, skiing. There's so many things to do within like an hour's drive out of the city. So a lot of people come internationally. We have the Banff National Park that is also, kind of about an hour away. A lot of people will come just to visit Banff. But where's the airport? It's here in Calgary. So they will land in Calgary. Typically, they'll get a hotel here, kind of spend the night and then rent a car, drive out there for a weekend, or even just a day, just have dinner, look at the mountains, go to a ski resort and then come back. So there's lots of things like that in and around Calgary that make tourism, kind of an attractive industry that's still going well, even through kind of the COVID-19 situation that we've had. Once a year as well in Calgary, we have this thing called the Calgary Stampede, which is a rodeo event, kind of drawing back to historical roots. It's been around for years and years and years and years. But this is an international event that draws like another, I think it doubles the population of Calgary when people come. So hotels are full, there's people out in the streets, people are eating food here and enjoying it. And it's a huge event. And yeah, so lots of exciting things. And then just throughout the year, there's tons of arts and culture events going on at different facilities, the museum, out on the streets. So yeah, it's definitely a very vibrant industry still.
And good restaurants. Calgary has a lot of places to go for a coffee, for eating, and it's amazing. And if you are watching us, we have a video about this Stampede. Have you been there this year? And it's a very nice festival. So people check it out later. Okay, so thank you, Nicholas. We have more questions here for everybody. If you guys could help me. We selected 5 top ones here. Basically, the students would like to know what are the top areas. I think in your presentation, you gave us a certain idea, but some people were asking about accounting, financial. You mentioned something like that, but do you have anything to add regarding this area? Like insurance companies, banking, where is the place usually this kind of professionals goes after graduate? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I can kind of talk about the industry type things, and maybe Carolyn, if you want to jump in with the educational pathways as well, feel free to do that. But yeah, I kind of highlighted like 8 of our key sectors, right? The agribusiness, energy, etc. Those are all a mix of what we call traditional industries and emerging industries as well. But really, at the end of the day, all of those are businesses. So they're all going to need accountants. They're all going to need finance people, HR people, sales people, customer service people. So with that growth of that $20 billion I mentioned going towards digital transformation, it's not just for companies to stay as they are, but for them to transform and grow and scale up. So if you have any of these skills that are very applicable in any industry, you're definitely very employable, kind of straight out of graduation or coming over on a work permit. But definitely the ones that I highlighted there in those 8 sectors are ones that we see as ones that are going to be growing and scaling up massively. Definitely tech sector is booming. That's something that's happening globally. It's not unique to our situation. But yeah, definitely a lot of opportunities for that. And speaking of accounting and such, the financial service sector in Calgary is really, really taking off. I very briefly touched on, we're having a lot of investment go into some of these companies. But just over the last year, even we saw, a couple companies reach unicorn valuation status. So that means they were valued at over $1 billion due to some kind of investment that was placed on them. So I think one of them appeared in one of those slides there, but quite a few are happening like that. And, a lot of financial services and especially fintech companies. So payment tech, blockchain, cryptocurrency, anything digital payment wise. A lot of those companies are starting to grow up here in Calgary and really expanding. Neo Financial that I mentioned, like 1 year ago, about 50 people, and now 400 people. So definitely all these are growing. A lot of companies are hungry for talent and bringing in new people. So yeah, lots of great opportunity coming up here.
Super fast, growing fast. Thank you, Nicholas. For Carol, we have a question here. How is the reception for those over 40? Do you think Canada considers people more mature for the job market? How is this acceptance?
Yeah, at the age of 40, you still have 25 good years of work ahead of you, and you have 15 great years of experience with you. So it really is a great age for going into management. Canada values the experience that people bring. They notice the companies that people are coming from. So you combine that with your Canadian education and your golden, and especially coming from Brazil, people come with confidence and determination, and we see great success. And I mean, Nicholas and I were talking about Brazil specifically a couple of weeks ago, that it definitely is a demographic or a country that Calgary would like to see more people from.
Really, Nicholas? Talk about that.
Not too much to say, but I mean, Brazil was just kind of highlighted as there's quite a number of companies here that are looking at Brazil to attract talent from. This is because, they maybe have current staff that are from there and they really like their work ethic or what they can bring to the table. Maybe it's because of some connections they have, but definitely I keep hearing Brazil come up in conversations we're having, and a lot of people are actively looking at that country to see how can we bring some of those people over here.
Good news for Brazilian people.
Yeah, indeed.
Another thing that is important to mention, in Brazil, usually when we send a resume, when we apply for a job, we have to put our age, if we are married or not, if you have kids. And here in Canada, this does not happen. Could you talk a little bit more about that? Or Carol or Nicholas, I don't know, talk about this dynamic. You don't include this thing, right? In your resume.
No, employers are not allowed or not permitted to ask these questions, even in an interview. I know in some countries, like in Mexico, if they think you're at the age where you're going to get pregnant, they don't want to hire you because maybe after 2 years you're leaving. In Canada, that's not the case. They hold your job for you. You receive nice benefits while you take your maternity leave, and you come back, if not to your position, you come back to your company. There's a job at the company. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's really interesting. In our 30s is when we tend to really settle into our career and management. In our 20s, we're exploring and kind of figuring out what we do and what sector we want to be in. Mid 30s, you really know who you are. 40s, that's when you really become your best you.
Yeah, I think you are more stable, and sometimes it's advantage to have somebody, depends on the position, more mature, right?
Yeah. By 50, you don't want to be moving around. By 50, you want to. People should be trying to recruit you at that age. Nobody, you shouldn't be out looking for a job.
As long as you are a talent, you have something to add for your employer, there is no question about age. I think the question is more about what you can offer, what you can do if you fit for that position, right? So one more question. Could you talk please about the supply chain market in Calgary? I think about choosing this major. I have been working in a bank for over 16 years. But now I would like to change.
Sorry, that supply chain major?
Yes.
Okay.
She is going to Bow Valley College, and she's gonna choose one of the majors, and she's thinking about supply chain. It's a new career for her because she has been working in a bank for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, supply chain is definitely one of the interesting kind of sectors to get into. It is highlighted as one of our key sectors, right? We have transportation and logistics, and supply chain kind of falls within that realm. So there's a lot of oil and gas companies here that need to do a lot of purchasing and transportation and things like that. There's a lot of distribution companies as well. I mentioned that we are kind of considered Western Canada's distribution hub. And that's because, we have that fantastic international airport. We have train routes that come through across Canada. We have trucking, within that typical trucking day, you can hit 11 million plus customers. And we're also right on the line of the Canamex highway. So that's the Canadian, American, Mexico highway. So there's definitely a lot of moving pieces that, if you're in supply chain, this is a fantastic spot to be in terms of coordinating all those things. But then also, there's tons of opportunity globally, right? We kind of live in this globalized world where you can be working remotely for tons of things. And with Calgary being that headquarter center that I mentioned, 100 plus headquarters right here in Calgary, tons of those decisions are made here for things that are on the other side of the world. But we need people here in the same room or in the same time zone even, just to kind of make these decisions. So yeah, definitely it will be an interesting career path to pursue there.
And change a career in a mature age is something that Canadians usually do. It's not something only immigrants or people who are just arriving in the country. So it's not a problem to change from areas, right, Nicholas? What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think especially with how Calgary is right now, we're going through this period of a lot of traditional industries are pivoting, right? We're having more tech companies come up. Traditional industries are going through digital transformation. There's a lot of new learning that is being done, right? Traditional oil and gas companies are now moving into clean tech and exploring what wind and solar are like. So there's a ton of reskilling happening throughout all industries. So recruiters and employers are quite used to seeing that. And especially with the gap in skills we have here, especially in technology, there's a ton of upskilling and training programs to get people taught on coding or project management or design work. So there's a lot of people who are coming with, 20 plus years of experience, and they're going through these, 12-week coding boot camps, coming out on the other side and looking for work placements, right? So it's not unusual by any means. And if you look globally as well, just with the way the world is moving, a lot of industries have to be open to hiring people who are, getting credentials on the side, what we call micro credentialing, that's when you just take kind of a short course online and you get a certificate for it. So it's not unusual at all. We see it all the time. And especially here in Calgary, where we're kind of going through this exciting change, it's pretty normal.
That's nice. Another thing that I would like, maybe Carol can add, or you, I don't know, about soft skills. This kind of, when you change areas, you can use some of your previous skills. How you guys see that? Yeah.
I'm only going to say one thing. I heard it in a presentation last week by a human resources expert. He said the hard skills will get you hired, but not having soft skills will get you fired. And it was an interesting, yeah.
That's totally true, because training someone to do something, we can do that. We can, but training soft skills is something that is difficult. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's see. We have something more. How are employers with newcomers with no previous work experience in the area they are? I didn't understand quite well the questions, but but I think he's asking about if they don't have any experience, how is the process to start his first job? And also we can add another question here is which type of references they can provide if they don't have any reference in Canada yet.
In terms of the employers and the kind of perceptions around newcomers and such, it's not, there are some companies that really look for Canadian experience. And if you've never worked in Canada before, that can be a barrier for employment. But definitely if you're looking at some roles where, they're open to helping you with work permit and stuff, they are visibly trying to bring in immigrants to the country. Or if you just look at some companies that have really good organizational culture where they want to have diversity, they want to have a mix of people, that will definitely decrease those barriers for you, wanting to join their firm. So yes, like it's good to find Canadian experience somehow. And, if you guys are coming over on a study permit, there's also so many hours that you can also work part-time. So it definitely helps to get some of that Canadian experience on your resume, but by no means is it required, unless it depends on the employer, really. But many more companies now are opening up. They are wanting to be more diverse and looking for ways to kind of get more ideas at the table as well. And the best way to do that is by, hiring from different groups of people, hiring immigrants, newcomers, people of different ethnic backgrounds, all that kind of thing. So,
and even though with these 20 hours per week, the student can work. If you work, for example, inside the campus or Starbucks or Tim Hortons, even if you are looking for a career in accounting, you can, as Carol said, the soft skills are also important, and you can like put in your curriculum, resume in this case, and have like a reference, something very valuable, right? Okay, so we have two more questions here. I don't know if you guys have time for those, but yeah, let's go for them. I saw the civil construction market is very hot in Calgary, and there is a forecast for anyhow this market going down, or there is some like prospection for the future that we think that civil engineer will not be a good choice. What do you see about this market?
For civil engineering?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Calgary has one of the highest rates of STEM graduates in Canada. So STEM being kind of like that science, technology, engineering, and math. So we have a very high concentration of engineers already here. And that is a lot to do with the energy and environment sector. We see these as still being very, very important to Calgary, even though we're now diversifying and, kind of pivoting some aspects of the economy. That energy and environment sector is still going to be very, very important, and they're still going to be needing tons of engineers in different backgrounds. Now, as they're kind of moving into more clean tech areas, building solar farms, building wind turbines, things like that, those are still very crucial roles that we need to have. And even in other industries, it's always good to have that as a background. And then, like the upskilling programs I talked about, what other training can you get to complement those skills, right? Like Carolyn was mentioning, if you have this as a background, take a different program and see how you can, combine those skills together. What are the, overlaps, and how can you leverage that into a new role? And with the amount of innovation and startups and scale ups here in Calgary, there's always going to be a spot that you can find a niche in, kind of find your spot and still be effective in. And yeah, Calgary's that international global city. There's tons of opportunity across industries. So it's not really something that we see as, going to be a decline by any means. It's just the role of it is changing a bit, right? Because I think in the past, we had a few core sectors like, oil and gas and agribusiness be very, very strong, but now it's kind of balancing out a bit. So it's not really like a decline and it's going to become irrelevant. You just have to kind of see where to fit in now.
That's really important to know, because usually people, when they think about Alberta, they think oil and gas. And they think oil and gas is going down, so we don't have any other opportunity. But it's not that true. As Nicholas said, we have many other areas growing and shifting, from oil and gas for solar energy or other areas that will give many opportunities for you. One thing that I would like Carol and Tatiana maybe comment about the English. Let's talk about the English, because people were watching this and say, okay, I have many opportunities in Calgary. I have many colleges. We have SAIT, Bow Valley here in Calgary, many wonderful programs, but I don't have English. And how can I start my plan to go to the college, develop my English, have a strong language skills to get into the college and then get this opportunity in the future? How ILAC can help you guys in this Pathway program?
Okay, I'm gonna jump in. Podemos falar em português, gente. O pessoal que está assistindo aqui finalmente chegou a parte de português.
Sorry, Nicholas and Carol. We are gonna just talk a little bit.
You know what, Carol? She's half Brazilian. She knows how to speak Portuguese. She understands everything that I said, right?
Como que funciona, então, rapidamente, o Pathway da ILAC, ele tem convênio, com o SAIT, que é uma grande politécnica aqui de Calgary, e também com o Bow Valley. Então, como que funciona esse início do Pathway? O que o estudante pode esperar do programa,
Com certeza. Fê, você sabe que foi muito interessante, assim, a gente já trabalha com o programa há mais de 20 anos, a gente começou a identificar justamente essa necessidade. Então, os alunos vinham para o Canadá querendo fazer graduação e pós, mas o pessoal não tinha um dos principais pré-requisitos, não é o único pré-requisito, mas é um dos principais pré-requisitos, que é a proficiência na língua, Então, geralmente, quando você vai aplicar, quando você vai fazer o vestibular, numa graduação, numa pós, numa universidade, num college no Canadá, você precisa comprovar que você tem proficiência na língua porque naturalmente você vai aprender o programa todo em inglês e você está estudando com outros, com alunos canadenses, com alunos de vários lugares do mundo. E foi aí que a gente resolveu criar esse programa que chama Pathway Program, que basicamente é um preparatório para quem deseja ingressar numa graduação ou pós. E uma coisa que é muito interessante, que muita gente fala assim, mas Fê, Tati, eu já tenho inglês, eu já estudo há muitos anos aqui no Brasil.
Como escutar isso.
Meu inglês é o que eu mais escuto, gente. Meu inglês é avançado, então eu não preciso fazer uma preparação, mas, gente, uma coisa que eu quero pontuar, e você sabe que é engraçado, eu vou dar até uma experiência minha pessoal, porque agora na pandemia é aquela história, né? Ou se adotou um pet ou começou a estudar alguma coisa. E eu comecei a estudar psicanálise, loucuras de pandemia. E na psicanálise você tem que estudar muito texto acadêmico, né? Freud, Lacan e etc. E aí foi que eu fui entender o que era o programa de Pathway, porque eu pego inúmeros textos em português e, gente, eu tenho que ir no dicionário para poder traduzir as palavras em português, eu tenho que ler e reler, porque a estrutura é completamente diferente da forma como a gente fala. E a mesma história é quando você vai fazer um curso superior no Canadá. Você pode ter um inglês muito bacana, mas uma coisa é o inglês falado, que a gente usa, né, no dia a dia, o inglês que você usa para trabalhar, e o inglês acadêmico. A estrutura é completamente diferente. Então, o programa PEF, ele vai te preparar justamente para essas habilidades que você precisa ter para acompanhar um curso superior. Então, como que eu vou escrever um curso, né, um texto de 1000 palavras acadêmico aos moldes da, entre aspas, a ABNT do Canadá? Como que eu vou fazer uma apresentação? É muito comum nas universidades, nos colleges, você tem um paper para fazer, você tem que apresentar na próxima aula. E não é simplesmente falar na frente das pessoas, tem toda uma estrutura metodológica para isso, né? Uma coisa também que é interessante, aqui no Brasil a gente está muito acostumado, quando você vai fazer uma graduação em pós, o professor ele abre a apresentação, você não tem contato nenhum com o conteúdo, ele abriu ali, né, a apresentação, você aprende do zero, e aí quando chega ali uma semana, quem se identifica? Chega uma semana antes da prova, você dá, né, um gás ali no conteúdo. No Canadá, é totalmente self-study, então você já tem, que é muito parecido com esse curso que eu estou fazendo, que eu tenho que ler 100 páginas de vários livros para poder começar a brincar de assistir a aula, né? Então, é exatamente a mesma história.
Imagina isso sem a proficiência do inglês, né? Porque...
Gente, de verdade, eu fico pensando, porque se em português para mim está sendo difícil, imagina em inglês. E
Mas você
realmente...
sabe, Tati, aconteceu isso comigo. Eu fiz I graduate from University of Calgary, né? Então, eu fiz Master Degree em Chemical Engineer.
Meu Deus, que difícil.
Então, eu fiz o TOEFL, eu tirei a nota, eu estudei em casa e consegui fazer o TOEFL e entrei. Eu falei, bom, legal, resolvi a questão do inglês.
Preparadíssima.
Na verdade, não. As primeiras aulas eu comecei a penar, e aí eu tive que me matricular num Pathway para poder ter uma base para eu não sofrer nas aulas. Então, eu acho que isso que é a vantagem que vocês que estão no Brasil podem ter em relação ao que a experiência que eu tive, porque pode começar a fazer essa preparação, né, Tati? Antes de iniciar os estudos, né?
Exatamente, porque eu acho que é exatamente isso que você falou do IELTS ou TOEFL. A gente no Brasil, a gente é muito habituado com prova. Então, você vai lá, faz o preparatório do IELTS, você pega tudo na da prova, tira as contas das competências, mas na hora que você chega num curso superior, a história é completamente diferente. Às vezes, o fato de você ter 6,5, 7 no IELTS não traduz que você sabe fazer uma redação de 1000 palavras acadêmicas aos moldes da BNT do Canadá. E eu acho que o que a pandemia trouxe de maior benefício, assim, claro, não tem nada de bom o que uma pandemia pode trazer, algo terrível. Mas eu acho que para o aluno de ensino superior no Canadá, eu acho que foi, assim, um divisor de águas, porque uma das possibilidades dentro da ILAC, além de a gente oferecer o programa presencialmente nos campos de Toronto e de Vancouver, hoje você tem a possibilidade de fazer esse mesmo programa, a mesma estrutura curricular, com os mesmos professores da ILAC, online. Então, qual que é a grande vantagem? Hoje você não precisa mais vir para o Canadá, fazer o programa presencialmente. Tem que lembrar que quando você faz um programa de Pathway, por mais que é um preparatório, ele entra na categoria de language, isto é, você não pode trabalhar. Então, você faz daqui do Brasil por um custo muito mais acessível, o curso online é mais barato que o curso presencial, mantendo o teu custo em reais, muitas vezes mantendo o teu emprego aqui no Brasil, porque tem horário, tem aula às 8 da noite, você pode fazer, né, encaixar ele no mesmo horário.
Né?
Exatamente, dá para conciliar, e vir para o Canadá diretamente para Calgary, por exemplo, né? Diretamente para o programa superior. Quando você coloca isso no lápis, principalmente quando a gente fala em casais com família, né? Com filhos. Quando você coloca no lápis tudo que você teria de custo durante o período do Pathway presencialmente, fazendo no online, gente, vocês não têm ideia. Então, assim, foi uma assim, uma super saída, assim, para quem precisa realmente administrar esse investimento financeiro e precisa desse preparatório antes do programa superior.
Todos os estudantes que eu converso, 100% indicam a ILAC. Existem outros pathways, of course, não é só a ILAC, mas a ILAC é uma escola, assim, de mais de 10 anos, uma escola segura.
25 anos.
25 anos. Eu trabalho com a ILAC há 10 anos, mas a ILAC
bastante tempo.
Então, assim, é uma coisa muito legal para você que está assistindo essa live, gostou, está interessado, entre em contato com a gente, a Carol vai deixar os contatos, a gente pode explicar um pouquinho melhor. E inglês, English is always important when you are looking for a job in Canada, right? Everybody agree?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So yeah, thank you very much, guys, for your time, Tati, Carol, Nicholas. It was a pleasure to have you here. Guys, if you have any other questions, people who are watching us, you can send it to us by direct Instagram or YouTube, and we can answer later on. But yeah, thank you so much. This was the live about Canada and Calgary and job marketing. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Obrigada.